I want to tell you about the village in the sand, in a place where monsters that would not form packs back in the west do it here, in the Eastlands, in the Forbidden Lands, more specifically in the Windward Plains. This village is called Kunafa, and it lays far away in the east, away from the known world. Kunafa and its residents developed their own culture and adapted to the wild changes of the land. We're talking about the Windward Plains here, and these plains are also called the land of the blessed winds. For a good reason at that, because these lands change their weather rapidly. These changes of weather can be categorized into 3 types. The plenty, where you have bustling streets, verdant land and ripe harvest. The fallow, where you can tell that the weather is changing, the monsters become more aggressive, and the people are preparing for the Sandtide, which is the 3rd type of weather. The Sandtide is a state of wild weather where there are sandstorms brewing and lightning is striking. During the plenty, the people of Kunafa forage plants, flowers, fruits and water. They also fatten up their livestock during the season. They raise delphidons to provide them with wool and milk and also to use them for physical labor. These monsters are docile in general, but when their herd is in danger, they assume a defensive formation and use their evolved cranial plating as a weapon. Their milk is used to make cheese, and it is an essential part of the diet of Kunafa's people. They also like to eat it with honey poured on top. And interestingly enough, Kunafa is the name of a Middle Eastern dish that uses cheese and sweet syrup to create a dessert. The people of Kunafa also export their cheese, which implies that they have contact with other people outside their own village. Another big part of their culture is mining stones and minerals. They use the mineral wilk drop to create and heat their cheese. Another big part plays fulgurite. Fulgurite is a mineral created when lightning strikes the sand. They use it to forge windows in their gem chimes that you can see all over the village. The lighter the blue color, the better the quality. The gem chimes are a treasured ward. They harvest the stone, transport it, protect it and sculpt it. It is a long process that involves many hands. These chimes make it possible to gauge the wind and the weather in general, so they know when the fallow and the Sandtide are coming. They create them to protect life there. And with each movement, the chimes chip away until they return to the sands completely. So when the chimes indicate that the fallow is coming, the villagers start preparing for the Sandtide. It becomes more dangerous to leave the village as the monsters become more aggressive. The people of Kunafa don't really fight the monsters like we do as hunters. They were taught that nature has fangs and that their part is just to accept whatever comes. Tools, specialists, permission from the guild, and lineans like palicos are all new to them. The only thing that they have is the vanguard. It exists to sense danger before it comes and respond to the threats. That mostly includes hiding or fleeing, as we don't see them fighting the monsters with weapons. And when the inevitable happens, that the Sandtide appears after the fallow, they hide in their homes from the storm. During the Sandtide, windows break, the gem chimes and other things go flying, and sometimes they even lose people to it. The valley protects the village from the worst of the storm, and any building built outside the valley would just be demolished by it. They've learned to deal with the weather, so they use fabrics to protect themselves from the sandstorm and medicine to treat their wounds. Although the Sandtide seems like the wrath of nature, it is necessary for the cycle. as the sandstorm leaves the Windward Plains better than it finds it. The elders of Kunafa Village like to tell the children tales from times long past, where many things were different. One story is the one of the great bird Somult, also called the Binding Force. It healed the stark rift between the land and its people. They also tend to sing a song. It goes like this. The great bird Somult splashing in the pond. Chirp go the little birds, sitting on a log. Crying child, where do you run? Jingle chime, swaying in the sun. This story might be about the creation of Kunafa Village. I'm not sure if there's a connection between the great bird Somult and the cycred that the people of Kunafa ride on. They might be the little birds that are sitting on a log mentioned in the song. The cycred are raised from eggs and are trained to work with their riders. They are sensitive creatures and can sense the rider's mood. That is what we know so far, and from here on out, this is just speculation. One thing that I'm really curious about is this stark rift talked about in the story of the great bird Somult, between the land and its people. What is that great rift that they're talking about? We can see a big rift in the earth near Kunafa, but is that really what they're talking about? Maybe Kunafa is just what's left of an ancient civilization that was destroyed by a natural disaster. And maybe afterwards they befriended the cycred and Somult is their ancestor. At least that would somehow explain the strange stone structures that are able to absorb the lightning. And if those structures were really built by the ancient civilization, it implies that the Sandtide and this weather cycle already existed back then. I at least doubt that the current Kunafa built those structures, as they don't even really use weapons or specialized tools. Also, that might mean that this weather cycle is really just a natural occurrence and not caused by a specific monster. Well, or that specific monster has to be really old. This is all I know so far. Thank you for watching and I hope you enjoyed the video.